Buenos días, buenas noches, buenas tardes, wherever you are in the world, y bienvenidos a las todos to a special Worlds Collide, if you will, crossover event of the century. Hold up, I got one more member to bring in. There we go.
Mira eso.
Hello, everyone in BC WrestlePod land, and welcome to a special crossover event happening right now. This is the All Elite Ensemble, but it is also a Los Lobos De Lucha review. So the AEW crew and the CMLL crew is here this evening, and we got a lot to talk about. We are here to review not one, but two events that occurred that involved all our talent from CMLL and AEW. So we are here to review the CMLL versus AEW show, as well as AEW Grand Slam Mexico. I am one of your hosts of this crazy crossover. I am the bridge. I am the Rocky Romero, if you will, between the AEW and CMLL teams. And I am super excited to have here. First, of course, I gotta introduce the AEW squad first. So that, of course, being Daniel Cherry Garcia, JVL, in the building this evening.
Glad to be here and really excited to see my colleagues for the first time, not on a weird video chat or just at all. This is going to be fun.
I'm so excited. And then, of course, as festive as ever and digging the shirt is Mayama Juan, the professor.
Yeah, I got my La Camisa Turista Gringo shirt. I got all these vaqueros and all kinds of wild things on it. I was happy to find this today. CMLL is amazing. Please don't hate me for not watching far sooner. Like, I've watched clips, I've watched sections, but oh my god, it's just I don't want to get too far ahead because we got a lot to talk about. But it just felt like watching. I used to watch boxing a lot. I used to watch a lot of MMA stuff, and it just had that sports spectacle to it that was just more fun. And when the crowd doesn't like you, they really don't like you. And if they're silent, you messed up. Like, there's some moments we'll talk about. It was like, oh my god!
And of course, bringing in our unofficial Agent
Lo-Fi,
our unofficial sixth co-host, who also does the CMLL reviews with us. Lucha Libre is the best, though he is a bit biased.
That's fair. No, I love it, and I'm gonna continue to watch it.
Oh, absolutely. Now that you got the logins and everything. But of course, I would be remiss to not introduce my other team that is here with us this evening, my CMLL crew, the Los Lobos de la Lucha. First, of course, you know him, you love him. He is the masked individual up in here. El Buntador del Segundo is in la casa.
Mi gente, saludos, bienvenidos a este show. I'm ready, baby.
I'm so excited. This is going to be fun. And of course, rounding out our panel this evening, you know him, you love him. He does a lot of things with me, and I'm super proud that he was able to make it for this one. And he gets bonus points for staying up till 4 a.m. watching all this. Is Papo Oso himself, Will. we're wearing the same shirt. We're twinsies.
I know. I saw that. Hello, everybody.
Twinsies. So I'm super excited for this evening. We're going to get straight into it in a little bit. But of course, if you are new to BC WrestlePod and this is your first experience with us, welcome. And we're sorry, but not really. Be like, we're sorry, but not really. We are a bunch of misfits here on the internet that love professional wrestling, and whether it was the algorithm, word of mouth, or you just happen to see who are these nerds talking about wrestling, welcome. We do a lot here on the YouTube and the Twitch. We do full-length live reviews of the TV shows weekly and the pay-per-views, as well as special events. But if you cannot subject yourself or you do not have the time to sit down and watch a full-length review, you can follow us on the social medias at BC WrestlePod, where you pretty much get the major talking points. I mean, if you checked our social medias today, our WWE clips from our review this past Sunday was all about how Gunther versus Goldberg was not the best choice, and how that one match for Saturday night's main event is what made me decide we're doing a watch along for All in Texas.
What?
But we also do report cards for all the shows too. It's been fun talking to people who agree and disagree with some of the thoughts behind these report cards, so it is great. We also have some merchandise where we've dropped collections for pretty much all the review teams, and we also have our summer collection, which is the Hot Boy Summer Collection, which is taking our little luchador mascot into the sun designs. We also have two important collections. We have our Pride 2025 collections, where part of the proceeds of everything sold in that collection will be donated to Point of Pride, offering financial assistance for trans health and gender affirming care. But also on top of that, we have our special Resistance, the We Don't Tap collection, and proceeds of that collection will be donated to the California Immigration Youth Justice Fund, which offers financial and legal assistance to children, teens, and young adults being affected with what is currently going on in this country and the mass deportation. So we like to be advocates for our peoples here, and I feel like, especially since we covered Lucha Libre, and part of our crew here is, Los Latinos, allies of Los Latinos, and Professor is a mixed bag. We still got to do it on 21andMe to figure out exactly. Yes, protect trans kids, as Elvin puts.
I'm gonna probably do it the next month or two because I need to know. I'll send you the ancestry.com link to the tree. It's deep.
I'm so excited. But with all that out of the way, let's just jump straight into it because
Wow.
It's all nice.
These are so cool.
The five of us are all squeezed together on one side. We love this. But we are here. We got two shows that we are going to cover, so we are going to just jump straight into everything. We are going to first start with the Tuesday, June 17th show, which was the CMLL versus AEW and ROH show. So normally in the world of CMLL, we kind of get Tuesday shows, but not all the time. But this was a big occasion because most of the Tuesday shows don't end up on the YouTube feed for us. But of course, this one did because, of all the companies involved in this one. So I'm excited.
They do. You get the Guadalajara show and the Arena Mexico show on Tuesdays on the YouTube feed, but yeah, this was a special one. And I personally, out of the two nights, hot take, I feel that this was the more lucha feeling of the two nights, but that's hot take.
I don't think that's a hot take. That's probably straight fact, right? Like that's just kind of what the deal was, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I just saw the private set JVL. I'm gonna say yes. Agent Lo-Fi coming in. This was his personal favorite show of the week, and the Guadalajara shows don't air live anymore, and premieres on Thursdays now. So good to know.
Good to know.
I'll say this at the top so I don't have to reiterate it 100 different times. Just the feel of, I think and you guys might know better, so you want to jump in on this. It's not too much of a rabbit hole. It seems like, at least in America, it's much more of soap opera and theatricality is the polish, whereas in lucha, this is what they are. There's a different sense of truth there. right? Where it's sort of like we got to do the promos a certain way, and there's a certain sheen and polish on all those things, and you see that in the AEW one, which we'll talk about next, right? This felt like sport. Like this felt like this is all mano a mano or whatever else. Like this is here we go, let's go, and the audience has bought into it as tradition of no, this is. I don't want to say real because that's not what I mean because reality is blurred here, but there's just a different feel to that. Does that make sense? Am I crazy?
No. You're making perfect sense. There's two things that factor here. Number one, yes, you are right. Normally, the lucha libre shows, they are just straight wrestling. You might get a little promo like spot here, a little talking spot here, but all that stuff is usually left for after the shows, like during the informos and all that. And then the actual shows themselves are just wrestling, lucha.
Right.
The other side of it is in lucha libre, you have a more defined rudos and técnicos, babyface and heels. You don't have tweeners. You don't have this, that, and the other. It's the person comes on, they're a bad guy. The person comes on, that they're a good guy. And you have that whole dynamic, which I feel, slims it down. And then the other thing is a lot of those theatrics are saved for the ring, where luchadors, they rip each other's masks and like you see that stuff happening in the ring. So it's kind of like an understood when you watch the next show that, oh, these two really don't like each other. So, that's it.
And there's this, and I'm sure all of us theater people could talk about it. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Well, you're just going to say that sort of lends itself to that sort of cerebral Western actor thing. Like, what's going on in their brain? Are they going to do this? They're going to do that. Whereas it seems like traditional lucha is sort of like, I'm not saying black and white, like in there's no variant, but sort of like, I know what this is, I know what that is, until it has to change. And then it's sort of built off of that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, it won't be until tomorrow for Fantastica Mania because that's where we got the very long promo at the very end of the show, which sets up what's going to happen this Friday. But Agent Lo-Fi, our Lucha Libre expert, AAA is where you would go for more promos, but even then they tend to do more in-ring run-ins and in-ring promos than pre-tape stuff. So yeah, Lucha Libre is, as Will stated, it's musical theater versus opera kind of. So, but let's just jump into it because we got 5 matches that we gonna cover. This one was a lot of fun. And yes, a 5 to 6 match card is typical for most CMLL shows, especially the Viernes Espectaculares, with the exception of Fantastica Mania, which had 9 this past Friday, which was a fun run. But let's just jump into it. So, also, shout out to CMLL's graphics departments because y'all got the cards unlocked. So let's begin with what kicked off our Versus show, where we opened things up with a CMLL versus ROH match. This is our Amazona representing CMLL in Persephone, taking on our Ring of Honor Women's World Television Champion, Red Velvet.
Mira. I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it.
Do it. Do the
Reina de nuestros corazones.
She was voted. Well, 2 of the people voted for her. My girl is Reina Isis, but we all 3 agree that Persephone is probably one of the staples of the Amazonas division and CMLL. Other than Zuxis, who we're going to talk about at Grand Slam Mexico, she's
got a
probably
4th one in there for me this time. After watching this match, it was ridiculous. I'm on the Persephone train all the way through.
So this was a mano-a-mano match at the Amazonas. So this is a one-on-one match, a single una caída, 1 fall between these 2 women. I am not going to be speaking a lot this episode because I want to get everybody's thoughts. So I'm actually going to jump. I'm going to jump to El Buntador first here, and then we're going to go back and forth. El Buntador, what did you think about this match?
I thought it was a really good beginner. I felt that these 2 were given time to cook. We saw a lot of what makes Persephone great. We saw a lot of her power. We saw a lot of Red Velvet's agility, and they worked really well together. And it was a really good match. I I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Papa Oso, I'm going to come to you next. You are familiar with Persephone. Red Velvet is a little newer to you, but we have seen her pop into CMLL for a little bit from time to time. What did you think of our Amazona action opening up the show?
Well, I will agree with El Butador because I thought it was a really good opener. Persephone is always going to show out. It's never going to be that was it. No, she is always on it, and that's what I love about her. And I have to be completely honest. I am a huge Persephone fan. She is my girl. And I watched her the whole time, and I really didn't pay much attention to Red Velvet. I'm sorry, Red Velvet, but Persephone just catches my eye, and I watch her every single time she's in the ring. No matter who she's in the ring with, my eye just won't leave her. And when I went back and watched it again, yeah, Red Velvet's great too, and I agree. I think they worked very well against each other. So, and I thought it was a good match. Like matching these two up. But like I said, Persephone, she comes in hot and doesn't let up. And that's what I love about her. And so I thought this was a really strong opening. I thought it was pretty strong.
We love to hear from it. Now, on the flip side of things, I'm going to go to the AEW boys here. JVL, we both are very familiar with Red Velvet. Once upon a time, we covered Ring of Honor here on this channel, and she pops up ever so often in AEW. Of course, I still be watching ROH, so she's still there, and I'm going to briefly talk about Collision at the end because it seems she's aligned herself with Athena and Billy, which is very interesting to see. But what did you think about this opening match and your introduction to Persephone here? I forget that this is most of your first time for the CMLL talent.
It really is. I honestly, knowing Red Velvet's background, knowing how that she works, I was interested to see if the styles would clash or they'd mix. And I could, like Papa Oso, I couldn't take my eyes off Persephone. That's where I was drawn. I feel like Red Velvet was still stepping into a new place and maybe wasn't as comfortable going in, so this could have been a much better match in certain places, but this was a great introduction to both of them for a lot of folks, and really for me, seeing that style against it, I feel like I want to see this run back again. I want to see them where they've experienced each other now and where they can grow from this, because it was stylistically fun, but I feel like there's got to be some depth added next time that I want to see.
100%. And then finally, Professor, your first real introduction to both of these women. What did you think?
Absolutely, it was. And they sort of kicked off a theme that I was going to feel for the rest of this night, which is different than the AEW night, which we'll talk about in a second. Whereas sort of clotheslines or drop kicks or missile drop kicks are cues in other promotions, they are meant as exclamation points here. They hit both feet hard every single time. It's not a finesse cue to move on to the next thing. It's I'm making contact with you, flush, boom, and then we feel that impact and we move on to the next thing. I could have watched this another 5 minutes. I didn't think it was cut short by any means because it just felt like it was bookended really, really well. Maybe it's just because I have a type and we're going to say this a lot. I'm going to out myself the next 2 hours. I couldn't keep my eyes off Persephone either. It was just like, who are you? Remarkable, though. They both worked really well together. Red Velvet's dive to the outside was solid, flush. There's something to, I'm going to say this now, so I don't have to repeat it 100 different times. The catching of other wrestlers doing the move, I'm going to share the impact with you instead of catch you and go to the ground, which is an interesting stage combat thing, if that makes sense. And this happened again and again and again with dives and other things or big moves. It's sort of, you're going to hit me, we're both going. So we share the impact that way, as opposed to there's the flip. I'm going to catch you and then kind of make sure you don't fall on your head. Just different style to the thing. And it's much more visceral to someone who's been watching this American style for so long. This, I don't know what this catch can type thing, but this was a blast to watch. This set up the vocabulary I kind of needed for the next 2 hours. It was great.
Right. Yeah, as Agent Lo-Fi says, luchadors know how to be good bases for
absolutely
everything.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right.
At the same time, this made me think that, like, and I don't obviously know well enough, but in these different companies, if you're doing that there, are the locker rooms tighter at that point? Do they feel like you're actually part of a family and that like we really got to take care of each other? And
that's actually a really good point.
Yeah. Versus, we're there for a paycheck. We do this to tour around the country type of thing.
Very true.
I would have to say, and Primo, Lo-Fi, please fact check me on this. But I would have to say that, yeah, JVL, you are kind of leaning to that. Because, in the off days, these luchadores and these Amazonas, they're also like touring around all of Mexico, going to like these small rinky dink, like, towns with, well, not rinky dink, please,
the smaller venues,
but not even smaller venues, literally like small towns that are throwing up, a ring. And they because it's like a town celebration, and the luchadors and the Amazonas, are showing up. So you do have a little bit of a tighter connection in the locker room there. You also do have not so much in this case, but you do also have a lot more generational talent, like for example, the Velanos, you have Hijo de Velano dos, Hijo de Velano tercero Junior, it's like, it's, like big generations that are in the business and you have literally grown up as luchadors. So there is a grain of truth to what you have said. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's more like, I've always, and I'm new to it, I haven't been doing it very long, and I have like rabbit holed myself into Lucha Libre. But one of the things I love about it, a couple of things I want to talk about. First, this match, and I've always said it because it's just the way when I look at it, it's what I see. The Amazona matches are brutal. They are like full on. When you watch a lot of the men's matches, they're like dances. They're like choreographed. They're like pretty. It's really kind of fun to watch. It's a really unique experience. And then I'm not all of them, because some of them are like full on chaos matches, but a lot of times you watch them, they're so fluid when they're in the ring, even when they're like jumping and hopping and walking on wires, and I mean, it's just so fluid and it looks so pretty. The Amazonas, however, they're in it for blood, and it is, and it's brutal, and I love that. I love that so much. The other thing I love about this sort of style of wrestling is that it's more of a culture than like an experience. Like in American wrestling, it's an experience, but when you hear it, feels more cultural. Like, it is a culture. It is not necessarily just a bunch of random people coming together, creating these, friendship bonds, on the backside of things. And it literally feels a lot more personal. Like, it's very traditional. And as Bondador said, generational. Right. So you've got father, son, grandfather, father, son, et cetera, et cetera. And
everybody.
And I love that.
You got siblings who are working together, which we're going to talk about them in a little bit. But for Agent Lo-Fi, for a little bit of info, there's definitely politics within the locker room, but it's got much tighter lid, and it's just plain and simple for less coverage and reporters to be looking into that type of stuff down there anyways, which makes a lot of sense because this organization is very tight-lipped on a lot of things. So
it also seems to take it like an art form, though, like versus what we have up in the major stuff too. It's very much an art form here, and there's pride in the work. Where not that our American wrestlers don't have pride in their work, but they're pulled in so many other ways. This is a focus, it seems like, for those luchadors down there and doing that stuff in the Amazon.
Absolutely. So Persephone does pick up the victory. Yes, if I'm reading my notes right. Yes, Persephone picks up the victory here. Red Velvet pulling triple duty this week because she's going to be on everything we're going to be talking about. So good on her. But we move on. Listen. So, Bod El Campeonato Mundial de Pareja CMLL. So translated to, for the CMLL Tag Team Championships, we have Los Hermanos Chavez, so our champions, Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja, taking on AEW's The Crew, which is Lio Rush and Action Andretti. I want to first by saying, and I said this during the Fantastica Mania watch along, Leo and Action fit very well down here in a CMLL. I would love for them to be involved more every time AEW and things like that cross over. I really love this match. I know, Professor, you were chatting with me as you were watching this part by part throughout the various days leading into the review, and you're just like, I think somebody just died on my screen.
I totally thought he blew out his tailbone to end this match, and maybe it was a work or whatever. When I was like, "Oh, he's gone!" But again, like I said, the theme of they're hitting for exclamation points. They're not hitting for finesse or cues or anything else. It's like, bam, ooh, that had to hurt, like that type of stuff. Like, it's remarkable. I do recognize Action Andretti and Lio Rush vaguely, AEW, Ring of Honor, stuff like that. They got destroyed, but sold beautifully for these guys. This was just fun to watch. I'm looking at, I have replays. I'm kind of sort of cheating. The pace in the middle of this was a lot of fun. It sort of felt like typically in in America we have like, oh, we're gonna feel each other out, we're gonna work the crowd, and they kind of did, maybe 30 seconds, and then it was go 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 until we had our sort of go home cue and let's get out of here. They going to the outside in CMLL is dangerous. Like, it doesn't feel like a spectacle like it does in AEW or the promotions. Like, oh, we're on the outside, you're gonna get hurt out here, as opposed to like, oh, look, a table, oh, look at this. Like, no, now it's a real fight out here. It's just something that really keyed in for me on that I saw in this match. Again, another theme moving forward. I don't know what the hell that Boston crab crucifix, whatever the hell that thing was, about halfway through this was. It's like, oh my God. It's like a porch swing in the human porch swing thing. I don't know, just wild stuff that was great to watch.
We love that finisher before them as well. I mean, El Buntador, listen, there's no secret that we love Los Hermanos Chavez up in this household. Oh, yeah. So, and not to bury the lead, of course, they retained their championships, but how did you feel about this tag team bout?
Well, number one, RIP for Niebla Roja's He-Man sword. I don't know if you saw that. I was like, no, not the He-Man sword, no. Yeah, and last week we were talking about how it felt like, or not last week, I apologize. The week before, when we saw Los Hermanos Chavez, we were talking about how it felt like they were kind of like saving themselves, if you were, and they were like, oh yeah, well, they got coming up this upcoming week. It's a big week. And yeah, I feel like they were kind of saving it for this. They went out, they did the thing. Yeah, Lio Rush, Action Andretti, definitely fits so well with the CMLL Lucha Libre. That the whole, and yeah, so the whole Kalimba thing to explain to everyone.
It was so good.
Doesn't know. Kalimba, he's a musician in Mexico, and as you can tell, he looks like Lio Rush. So when Lio showed up in Mexico, people started confusing the two of them, and it just took off from there. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a really great match. A lot of energy. I too, and I think I chimed in on the text. I too had concerns about Angel de Oro's tailbone when he came down. He came up, yeah, he was good to go. He was good to go. So good defense.
Because the other guy gave the X. He turns and goes like this straight up to the ramp, and I was like, oh, that's not a. Oh, I know what that means, but I guess he was fine.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these, but for sure, we all talked about it at CMLL. Angel de Oro is one of the most underrated that CMLL has. He's just very well rounded, and he fits with everybody.
Yeah,
but yeah, JVL, I'm gonna come to you next. So of course we've had our issues with how the crew has been booked over here in the statesides, but they made magic here with this one. What did you think of this match?
I mean, I've always known the both of them to be very athletic, and when you don't have to let actually Andretti speak much and just kind of speak with his moves, he's fantastic. It was so good for to see them actually work a match where their opponents wanted to put them in fun, compromising situations. I mean, the whole like gory backpack with the swinging under thing, that was literal insanity. But
what is that? What is the name of human porch swing? Is that a thing?
It's not allowed to be said. We'll get demonetized later on if we say it, so we can't say that. But
I gotta check my notes. I did get the name of it, but that is the Chavez brothers finisher. They use that all the time.
It's
call
so
that the
good.
sibling rivalry. Anyway, basically, between that, it was high flying where it needed to be, but like it wasn't where. When the crew works on AEW, it's like, spot, here we're going to go over. We're going to do a tope here. We're going to do this over here. This was like, no, this is built into the fabric of this match. Everything is supposed to flow this way. And I just wanted to see maybe like 2 or 3 minutes more of this because I felt like they had a little bit more to give. But overall, really, really well done. And again, I'm falling in love more and more with Lucha Libre, and it's just so good.
I love it. And then finally, Papa Oso, what did you think of our tag team bout?
I loved it. I didn't know who these two were when they came out. I was like, oh my God, they're great. I love them. Who are they? Where can I see more of them? And I thought this was fun. I knew that Leo and Action were going to get their asses handed to them because Angel de Oro and Nebula Roja, my God, are amazing. And any chance, and I agree, any chance we get to see De Oro wrestle is like beautiful. He's so underrated because the thing I love about him is that he's so just sort of there. He's sort of a sleeper agent. Like you think, oh, okay, he's coming out. And then all of a sudden he just like opens up and just annihilates. And I love it. And he's so smooth about it. That's what's so great. I love about him. And I think these are 2 of my favorite dancers. They're quite fluid when they wrestle. And it's just amazing and wonderful to watch. If nobody out there can get it from anything, I love Lucha Libre. It can do no wrong. So
it's been
all my stuff is going to be very positive.
Yeah, it's been a very magical journey for us as we have just, as of last Friday, we finally officially have been covering CMLL for a year now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
My how time flies. But as I said before, Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja retain the CMLL Tag Team Championships, which then leads us into our third bout of the evening. Ooh, now we're getting into the good stuff. Not to say everything else before wasn't, but my goodness. No. So this match was amazing. So this is a spectacular mano a mano, so a special one-on-one. This is CMLL's Neon taking on AEW's Hologram. Oh, this rules. This match rules. I love this. Listen, Hologram remains undefeated in AEW. Neon is 1/3 of our CMLL Trios champions, part of Sky Team, which is him, Máscara Dorada, and Místico. This was just a fun lucha bout. There were bodies flying everywhere, and this was great. So I'm actually going to come to Papa Oso first. We love Neon. Hologram is up in this building too. What did you think of this match, Will?
I loved it. It was the thing I loved about this match is that I think you're right. I think it kicked off this is when we turned the turbo on from this point on, because every match after this is just high octane. And this started it. This is all, if we're talking dinner, this is like palate cleanser. This is like getting, the previous sort of out of the way and preparing ourselves for the meal that's about to hit us, and what a meal it is. But this is great. Neon I love him, and I'm not familiar with Hologram, believe it or not. and I really liked him too. I was like, ooh, okay. So can we have more of this? I would like to have more of these two doing either this or on a doubles or tag team, or I want to see more of them kind of going at each other. Because I mean, I really liked this match a lot. I was like, wow, wow. I knew Neon was gonna wow me because he always does. But I was curious about how this hologram fellow was gonna fit in. And man, oh man, talk about pleasant surprise. It was great. So I loved it.
Oh,
I mean, yeah,
absolutely.
and I agree with Agent Lo-Fi. I thought Neon was a little shaky at first, but he kicked into gear. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, a little fun fact from Agent Lo-Fi, crowd definitely knew Hologram as the former name Aramis. It was legit he was legit one of the best on the Lucha Libre Indies. So one thing that CMLL does very well is that they have so many people in the roster that they bring in, but also too, and we'll talk about it as we kind of get closer to Grand Slam Mexico, the bridge between CMLL Arena Mexico and New Japan Tokyo Dome, like the New Japan style of wrestling and CMLL style of wrestling fit very, very well. But yeah, this was just pure lucha adrenaline. JVL, I'm coming to you on the flip side. We are very familiar with Hologram as he is utilized a lot in AEW now that he has been back from injury, which has been very nice because we have missed him. What did you think of your experience with this match?
Hologram hadn't missed a step. I was actually surprised the warmer reaction he got, especially knowing that Aramis was a AAA wrestler before, and then he was on the indies for a bit. So I was happy to see him get such a nice reception when he was there. Neon also, once he got going, it did take a second to kind of get clicking into gear, and Hologram is there with him. But I mean, this was so fun to see the psychology of what they were working with here, because letting them kind of float in free form wasn't happening. There was a couple of missteps here and there. And I'm going to say this also, I don't know whether this is a thing during most CMLL broadcasts, but the camera team let down Neon on one specific moment when after the spinning 450 off the side of the rope, Neon got his hand out early and was under the rope ready to go, watching the ref the entire time, and the camera caught it just so you just see the whole curtain be pulled back, and that kind of took me out a little bit because I was I mean, I know it's predetermined, but still this is not, there's no selling whatsoever, so it's all right. But overall, really well done. I really did enjoy this match a lot, and that reverse fly, because it's not a Spanish fly with there, but it was reverse off the top rope. My God, how they landed and not hit their heads, I don't know.
It's crazy. It's just the fact they're like, yeah, I trust you. Let's just go flying everywhere. So why not? Oh my goodness. Buntador, I'm coming to you next. What did you think?
No. Yo quiero oír el otro gringo, por favor.
Oh, okay. Professor, what did you think?
Gracias. Neon saved Hologram twice. Once Hologram went through, did a dive, and did not make it. And
those ropes were out to get people this show.
Ooh, he grabbed his arm and yanked him right at the last second, kept him from tanking, and then took the whole bump and went back in. And then I can't remember where it was. There was another moment where I was like, that's his neck. And then right at the last moment, it went flip, and then pulled Hologram right under the thing. So they're moving. But to go that fast, to be taking care of each other like that quickly, was just, I had to watch this. I watched this twice and watched the highlights, and I'm still like, how, what, huh, what, huh, no, who does not, because in the AEW and other promotions, there's this sort of, we build in this way to breathe, right? We go, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. There's no room to breathe here. It's pay the F attention or you're gonna miss it. It's go.
Right. To quote
and then we all get to clap or breathe together on the offbeats, right?
To quote a certain Samoan, it's all gas, no brakes.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Amazing. I love Hologram. Hologram's fantastic. I forgot a little bit of his history. I knew I was aware of it at one time. This was a blast. And I think this is where the crowd really came to life. They liked everything before this for sure. But this is when you really started to hear them. They got loud in this match.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to be in Arena Mexico one of these days, jam-packed, hearing that crowd. It is crazy through the speakers, which we'll talk about The whole entire week we reviewed these shows. So now I'm going to come back to El Punto de Segundo. What did you think?
So I know the work of Hologram. I know the work of Neon. And this match is what feeds the whining of the internet wrestling community in the flippy dippiness. And I just drank all those tears because this was just awesome. This was just awesome. It was just high speed, both taking care of each other. I mean, everyone said everything that I'm going to say, you know, and like this is the type of match that your stereotypical IWC individual is going to cry about, saying, "Oh, it's just flippy dippy. They're just doing it."
Keep going.
El Punto says this every single week at CMLL, and it's fantastic. Continue.
It's a spot fest. No one wants to watch a spot fest.
Yeah, right.
Let's actually get some story in our wrestling.
Like it said so much, I don't even think I know what it means anymore.
You're right. So, yeah, right, exactly.
I haven't really watched it.
And, you know, I mean, this was Lucha. This was Lucha. The one thing I do want to touch on it, when you get past that razzle dazzle, the match did tell a story, you know, and it was a good story. It was fast, and I know it's hard to pull it out from, you know, oh my God, he's jumping from one side of from one corner to another and then doing a 450. Oh, they're doing a tope. Oh, they're doing another, you know, like jumping off each other. What is even happening right now? But you know, this was great. This was really good. Really, it was awesome.
This definitely was a lot of fun. Hologram does pick up the victory here for AEW, so this brings the scoreboard 2-1 because this is technically the versus show. So CMLL 2, AEW 1, which brings us into our next match. Ooh, this was so good too. A little bit of a slower paced one for me, but I'm not surprised given who we got. So this was a mano a mano match as well. Poder a poder. So this is Atlantis Jr. representing CMLL, taking on the walking weapon and beautiful piece of Canadian artwork himself, Josh Alexander. Look, no secret, me and Will have been very spoiled with Josh. He is not new to us because we've been watching him from TNA since we started the BC Wrestle Pod. So we are very familiar with his game. AEW crew, you've been introduced to Josh for a little bit now as he's part of the Don Fallis family. Yes, I said that correctly. Do not correct me in the chat. Bald, anywho. And CMLL boys, we are very familiar with Atlantis Jr.'s game, and he's been popping up both in AEW and Ring of Honor. So you can't tell me no, El Puntador. I'm going to have you go first. What did you think of Atlantis Jr. versus Josh Alexander?
I mean, was it a slower match? Yes. Did that mean that it was a bad match? No, not at all. Yeah, I thoroughly appreciate Josh Alexander stepping up to really try to play that Rulo part, which overall I feel like a lot of the talent that came in from AEW, they had there was the Kyle. I'm gonna name it the Kyle Fletcher effect. All right, because previously, running it back, Kyle Fletcher last year, he was in AEW and he was good and all that, but then like he did a stint in CMLL and he was able to just really be like, like a real heel and like, really like mustache twirly and like really like hamming it up, which I feel you don't see a lot in American wrestling, because I guess, the supposedly the fans don't like it. I don't know, but as you see, it's more prominent in lucha, you know. So I truly do appreciate Josh Alexander really, really leaning into that and almost looking like he was having a lot of fun with that. But this was an entertaining match. I felt it fit the pacing well, where we had it was like ramping up, and then we had like this match to kind of like even us out and get us ready for the next matches coming up. I am really interested to hear from the AEW team because if memory serves me correctly, that hack Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, when he was talking to you all, he had said something because Atlantis was in ROH and AEW, and he had said something to the effect of like they put like inhibitor rings on Atlantis, and what you're seeing in like AEW and ROH isn't what we see in CMLL.
Version,
yeah. So
let's let the AEW boys talk, because we've been doing this long enough where we've seen Atlantis Jr. pop in to both Ring of Honor and AEW television within the last year or so. So, JVL, I'm gonna start with you because as a former ROH host and all that, we've seen a lot more of Atlantis Jr. through those means than AEW. So,
we have.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to ask El Luchador, do you mean by saying inhibitor rings like Chris Jericho, because that was the main one put on Atlantis for most of his run in AEW?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, if you're going to put him up against Chris Jericho at his age and everything else, we know that not very much is going to happen anyways, and you have to take care of a lot of things. First of all, I just want to say it was really, really funny to hear Josh Alexander cheered like TNA a couple of years ago versus like something else. It was kind of funny. But Atlantis, he's tried to adapt to that American style a little bit more, because every luchador in AEW right now, for the most part, if they're not attached to CMLL, have those inhibitor rings put on to work with their American counterparts, work their style. And while Atlantis tried his best to do so, you could tell there was like a hitch every once in a while. Like, I have to think through how fast I'm going to do this, or I have to make sure my opponent understood what I called, because I'm not sure that they know what we're doing. And I don't know whether the weird thing with AEW is you have so many folks that were brought in from the indies and everything else who worked Spotfest, Flippy Dippy, whatever it needs to be in like other companies. You would think they'd work well in that respect, but a lot of them are taking this of like, I'm just gonna make you bend to me. And it seems like Josh did that for Atlantis here, almost as like not a mea culpa, but like I'm a better than most of the folks I work with. Here's how we work with you and work our styles that are definitely different together. And I thought it was beautifully put together in that way. It wasn't seamless, but it was definitely more thoughtful.
Oh, absolutely. Professor, your thoughts too, because we've also seen Atlantis be popping in here for AEW and stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that hack, Nerdy Puerto Rican. I think he was right. I think that tends to be what happens is when a lot of luchas come over to AEW or the promotions. It's sort of, we got to slow down. You don't work this fast. You work a certain way, whatever. What's really interesting to me about this is sort of, I don't say, well, yeah, case study in lucha and contrasting styles. I know Josh Alexander from GCW, where he was just a bruiser. Like, he's here to hurt you.
Yeah, Bloodsport is a whole different ball game.
Which is similar, I think, to the TNA Josh Alexander, from what I'm aware of. But AEW Josh Alexander so far, I'm saying this politely, is kind of stupid and being told what to do. And there's a little bit of that cross-eyed, I'ma get him kind of character. And they're trying to push it that way. He shook all that off to do this. And it was really a matter of, hey, work fast. We're going to do things are going to happen to you that don't happen in AEW. Atlantis Jr. picked him up with his back and flipped the whole thing.
Yep.
Like,
it's that Canadian catch style wrestling that Josh has been training. This is straight up catch style of Canadian wrestling, heart dungeon, submissions, grapples, all that stuff. I mean, for God's sake, he wears the wrestling gear.
But Atlantis complimented it so well because, I think American wrestling, and I think Will and Bundador can back me up in this. American wrestling kind of gets tacked up in this is the brand, this is what I'm presenting, this is what I have to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Lucha has that to a degree, but up here in the States, they're getting coached on like, you got to look like this, you got to act like this. And now you're talking the Fletcher thing. Go down to Mexico, be who you are. Same with New Japan, right? Go do a thing and be all of yourself and find it. And I think that's what we saw here. Granted, it was a different change in gear compared to what we had seen just previously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's like, oh, Josh Alexander can jump. I don't think I've seen him jump since he got to AEW. I was like, oh, look, big
jump,
man's
that's
off the
crazy.
ground.
Big man dude can jump when need be.
This is great.
Those tree trunks can move.
They definitely can. I mean, Will, you and I saw that with Josh when he was battling Moose a lot, when he had to jump over Moose's spears a lot. And actually, so Will, you are very familiar, and of everybody here, you are kind of well versed in both of these, given the fact that we've seen Josh in other places too. What did you think about this match between Atlantis Jr. and Josh?
I thought this was interesting. I thought, because I love Josh Alexandra and I love Atlantis Jr. And I have to, let me say one thing first. This artwork of Josh is not flattering, by the way. Like, at all.
You don't like the 5 head he's got going on? Like, just because.
I know. What's the eyes? Look at the eyes. I feel like
I will say, Will, it could have been a lot worse, lest we forget our NXT graphics.
Oh, well, that's fair. That is very fair. But it looked literally like he's about to like shoot me with heat vision. I don't know. But the thing I liked about this and also kind of didn't like about this, I guess, I don't know. I love the match overall. I just, it was interesting because it was really kind of the one match that felt a little out of place. If we had had another match similar to this, earlier on, or it literally just felt like a placeholder, but like a good one. Like, hey, we got this special thing. Boop, let's just drop it right here. And and of course, Josh is fantastic in the ring. Atlantis Jr. is fantastic in the ring. I thought they were evenly matched. I thought it was a great match. It just felt odd. But of course, anytime I get to see Josh wrestle, I'm here for it. But it just felt a little odd. It just felt off to me. I don't know why. Again, it wasn't a bad match. They weren't bad. It just felt like it was sort of, and we've experienced this in like NXT TNA stuff, where they just put a match in because they can. And it kind of felt like we're going to put this match in because, well, we can. And, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. It just, to me, it just felt like the story we were telling kind of got a pause. And we stopped for a moment, like had some cookies and milk. And then after this, we picked up the story again. And so it just felt a little weird. I don't know. It just felt, odd. Yeah, I agree with Agent Lo-Fi on that too. Yeah, there was a weird energy to this match in the arena as well as in the actual ring. There was a weird vibe happening, and I don't know if that was necessarily anyone's fault or not. I don't think it was. It just felt like this was like nap time in kindergarten. All right, everybody, let's lay down on the mat and and then we'll pick up story time after this. Okay, after everyone's 15 minutes,
right?
Then we'll pick up.
This was their pee break match. Like this is the one
where
everyone went, all right,
everybody, if you need to go to the bathroom, here's the time. Yeah, I mean,
damn.
And I hated that because both of these men are amazing, and I hate that that's kind of what it felt like. But it's what it felt like. I just really felt like this is you're right. Like, okay, if you need snacks in the bathroom, this is the one to go in.
And, and we see that all the time with booking, right? Where it's sort of like this is the match that we know everyone will take a step away from, but you got to
Chris Jericho match. Yep. Okay.
Thing, that's tough.
It's crazy for sure. But despite it all, Atlantis Jr. does pick up a win for CMLL. So by this point of the show, we are now 3-1. So all CMLL had to do is win one more match to be claimed the victor of the show. So let's move on to our semi-final match.
Holy crap.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Yes. So this is our lucha semifinal, so semi-final lucha, so the semi-main event, if you will. This is a relevos atómicos 4-on-4 match. So representing Team CMLL, of course, this is where we got all the big boys in this match. We had Ótimo Guerrero, Gran Guerrero, Averno, and Euforia, who are all technically rudos, so the bad guys, if you will, of CMLL, taking on the bad guys of, well, 3 Force AEW and 1 CMLL member too, because representing Team AEW, the Don Fallis family, you have Konosuke Takeshita, Rocky Azúcar Romero, Kyle Fletcher, Protostar Kyle Fletcher, I should say, and the Alchemist of CMLL in Hechicero. So, I mean, before we get into this, though, yes, Agent Lo-Fi brings facts. Fun fact, CMLL goes out of their way, not to mention the Mystico, Jericho, and Presario match because it was that bad. Love it. LOL. Listen, the CMLL boys, we know we don't talk about that match. That was the worst match. We all picked it as the worst match of last year. It was wild. It was so bad. But yeah, this was the battle of the big boys, the battle of the, listen, you got Lucha Libre, strong, New Japan strong style. You got American wrestling, kind of. Like, this match was so chaotic, and I loved it. It was fantastic. This was a lot of fun for me. I'm going to go to Papa Oso first. Listen, this is 8 people in this ring. We are used to the chaos of these relevo atómico matches that we get from time to time. What did you think of this match?
Why have we not had this sooner? Holy God. Can I tell you how much yelling and screaming I did very softly? I did it like 3:30 this morning. I mean, holy goodness. This was like an explosion. I mean, when they were introducing the CMLL folks, I was like, oh dear Lord, what is about to happen? Because I mean, Ultimo, Gran, Averno, Euphoria, they are all like powerhouses. I mean, they are there for one thing, and that is to destroy whoever's up opposite side of them. And so I was like, oh my gosh, who is foolish enough to go up against? And then here come these guys who I don't know 2 of them. I've heard of, but I didn't never experience them.
Kyle and Takeshita,
yeah. I've not experienced them personally, but man, Takeshita, holy God!
Listen, we love Takeshita, whether it's AEW, CMLL, New Japan, no matter where he wrestles, he is so good. And
Takeshita's a track star. That dude jumps hurdles.
I mean,
he's fast.
I mean, from the minute he walked in, and that fabulous outfit, by the way. Mm-hmm. To the end of this match, I was just like, who are you? Holy goodness.
He has been a staple up in AEW, taking on the luminaries of every division and just wrecking house. Like he is just so fun to watch.
He is fantastic.
He is so good, he can actually win with the Blue Thunder Bomb. Like
he actually did.
He actually did, yeah, which was crazy. And the crazy thing is that no matter where Takeshita is wrestling, no matter the promotion, this kid is everywhere. Again, AEW, CMLL, New Japan, DDT. He's at House of Glory Wrestling, and in fact, he's going to be off of television for a little bit. This coming up very soon because Takeshita is in the G1 this year too, which is going to be crazy. But like, there's not enough words in the English dictionary to describe how fun this match was.
Oh my God.
I mean,
it was like. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was literally yelling silently in my house because I was just the chaos and insanity that ensued, and like immediately, not even like, oh, let's just annihilate one another, and it was fantastic. And of course, Rocky Romero being Rocky, and just seriously. And then, of course, Hechicero being Hechicero. And it was just like, it's funny because, like, the Rudos team from CMLL even though we know them as sort of like the Chaos Goblins, they were so sort of like unified. The other team was very individualized. You know, it was like they were all fighting individually as opposed to the CMLL folks who I felt were fighting as a group. And I don't have enough words for this match. It was so good. Oh my god! It took me everything I had not to like text you at like 3:30 this morning to go. Holy shit! Oh my god! Did you see? I was like,
I probably would have gotten back to you as soon as I got up, but I was just, yeah.
Oh my god! It was so good. It was so freaking good.
Right. I'm gonna throw it to my AEW boys too to give them a chance to talk before we wrap it up with El Puntador. AEW boys, what did you think? Like, good thoughts. Moving on. Just kidding.
I loved it. I thought this was a blast. I want those motorcycle cuts that Infernales had. My God.
Yes.
This they chose to, I'm not saying slower, like slower comparatively to America, right? Like it was just slow enough to where they could all catch up at all times. No one got too ahead of it. They weren't acting faster than they could move, right? They were boom, 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 boom. Super clean, snug, as other hosts have said in the past. Like they hit so hard every single time. Takeshita and Fletcher looked like they were in their element, kind of what we're going back to, what that hack, the nerdy Puerto Rican would say, right? Sort of Fletcher showed up and went, oh, I remember this. And he was more Kyle Fletcher than he has been over
He flipped the switch back into Arena Mexico mode.
It seems like he saves that for when it's him versus Will and maybe a few others, right? But this was there. The way he,
I hate you. We're going to fight.
Working the crowd. Just the breath and what they had underneath them, totally different. It's just remarkable.
It's great.
This is the Dick Kyle Fletcher I've been missing for a couple weeks now. Seriously, I love him in his pink trunks being a ginormous phallus. It's just so good.
And I think there's a pull, and maybe everyone else can speak to this, not to go down a rabbit hole. I know I got other stuff to go to. It seems like let me say this. Certain folks have a hard time being completely heel because they wonder if at any moment they're going to have to flip face. So they can't always commit full pot. And the ones who can go far. I feel like Kyle gets stuck up at AEW. We see him and he goes, yeah, but you still kind of like me, right? And that there's almost that hesitation.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago because when he was feuding with Adam Cole, it's like it kind of seemed like they were starting to flip him back, and we were like, that's a big mistake. But yeah, this version of Kyle Fletcher, I need it all the time. It's
so good. And then to go off Agent Lo-Fi as well, I agree. Arena Mexico gives a +10 on aura overall, but Takeshita doesn't need that. He makes the arena that way too, because just how he can orchestrate so much with doing so little and then just blow you out of the water. Talk about chaos gremlins all over. This was just chaos in general, and there's a reason why this match would work in any promotion except in America, basically because they are all so built that way of we are going to showcase how much of an athlete and a tactical thinker you are and how cool this is. So I was blown away by it.
Right. And El Buntador, before I give you the floor to kind of wrap this up before we go into our main event, I will say, though, if you count up the years of experience that our CMLL team has of wrestling, you are looking at least 2 centuries worth of wrestling experience, because all these men on the CMLL side are 45 and older, which is nuts. Anyways, El Buntador de Segundo, let's wrap this up. What did you think of this match?
This is my match of the night. So there we go. Boom. So number one, the team of Ultimo Guerrero, Gran Guerrero, Euphoria, and Averno. These guys are rudos. These are like the biggest rudos to rudo the rudo game, right? One of the things with being a rudo is that you don't do a lot of like the high flying, big moonsaults, big, crazy moves off the top ropes. Rudos are meant to be your bruisers, which I mean these guys were. They look like they just came out of a bar into another bar and getting into a fight, CMLL Rocky Romero is the best Rocky Romero. Hechicero is a traitorous bastard.
I gotta disagree with you on that. New Japan Rocky Romero is better than CMLL Rocky Romero.
That's very true.
I disagree.
Hey, no, I have to go with JVL on this one because seeing Rocky Romero live at Resurgence, he is that same way that he is in CMLL, which was fun to watch at Resurgence. But do
I need to? Do I still have it?
No.
Hang on.
No.
Hang
on. No.
Oh no.
Don't
oh
you
no.
do it.
What are you
doing?
All right. This is CMLL Rocky Romero. CMLL Rocky Romero's best Rocky Romero. So anyway,
absolutely.
Moving on.
Have that.
Moving on.
So
this Hechicero, traitorous bastard, turning his back on Mexico. How dare he throw it in with the Don Fallis family? But Kyle Fletcher looked great. I love him. I'm sorry, Protostar Kyle Fletcher. I love him in the pink gear. Yeah, Takeshita he's great. But how great was the other side too, to just make like everyone in this was just made each other look good, which is awesome. And I really quick before we move on, I want to hear the AEW boys. How'd you like Big Boy Gran Guerrero flying the way he did? Getting vaulted. That's a normal occurrence, by the way.
Really? That happens?
Yes.
Gran Guerrero and Ultimo all do go flying from time to time, but Gran Guerrero especially.
Yeah, they do that ramp vault thing all the time.
I've seen a house fly.
Say what?
I've seen a house fly.
I've seen a house fly.
I've never seen an elephant fly.
Yeah. Man, I feel like there were moments where I would say, "Oh, they're not going to do that," and then something like that happens. Is what I was responding to. And it's not that he was like, "I don't even surprised. I'm glad I was wrong." Like, you know what I mean? Like that's still,
all the time.
They can go up and get it.
Yeah,
and it's just a testament to different types of athletes. You don't have to look a certain. You don't have to look like a certain type of athlete to do this sort of stuff. Some of these folks look like unemployed uncles, and then they do stuff like that, right? Like you said, they got dad bods and
that's
masks
what I love about it.
And can hardly walk, and then all of a sudden they do 540s, and others like, whoa, wait, who are you?
And that's why you can't walk. But either way,
seriously, and that's why crutches. So still,
this ruled. Like this was so much fun. All right, but we got one more before we get into Grand Slam Mexico, because we got a whole other show to still review. But yes, this was my match of the night. Lord have mercy. This was just pure stick it into my veins adrenaline. This was, funny enough, this was por el Campeonato Mundial ROH. So this was for the ROH Championship. Again, 1/3 of the CMLL Trios champion, Máscara Dorada, representing Sky Team, taking on the champion or campeón in El Bandido. Yes, here we get the El Bandido here for CMLL. These two just went nuts. Like they're just like, oh, bet, let's go. We're main eventing. Let's do this. I'm like,
as the AEW guy, can I say the obvious thing?
Go for it.
This is apparently the real Bandito.
Right.
Yes.
I was thinking the same thing when I watched this. I was like,
right? The Bandito we see in AEW.
I agree. This is in the match of the year pile for me.
Is kind of fighting like a Rudo. Kind of does some high flying things, kind of does some stuff outside the ring, sure, like does dives or whatever.
Yeah.
But no one, I won't say no one. To work at this pace, there's very few folks AEW has that can do it, and they're probably luchas who are doing it, and we haven't quite seen that with Bandito. This was ridiculous. There's some stuff they did in here that I was like, That's like video game shit. Like, what are we doing?
I haven't seen this Bandito since Best of the Super Juniors about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Like, this Bandito has not been let loose in AEW at all.
Okay.
And to see him work this way, and to see him not only get his stuff in that's very, very crafted, but also to like turn on a dime and let Mascara Dorado just go nuts. Like just do more.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Lo-Fi, because like I am not smart in these ways like I should be. Seeing Bandito up in AEW, kind of great. They haven't really known where to put him. They gave him a Jericho angle, which is dumb.
It was bad.
He's a luchador. Every luchador fights Jericho at some point. We don't know why.
There's some sort of weird rite of passage they want to do with Jericho and that shit.
They want to feature in the Fozzy liner notes. Like, what is this? I don't get it.
I can't top that.
Oh my god, that somebody needs to clip that because that was brilliant.
Kilt, if you're still in the chat, clip that right now. Oh my goodness. But I mean,
I didn't mean to break the flow. I'm sorry.
No, it just killed all of us. I gotta pull this highlight thing back. Golden Mask is grabbing the ropes. Bandito goes up. I'm sorry. I'm just saying things out loud. I'm sorry. I messed it up.
Are you listening to the American translation of the
yes, right.
The commentary? There you go.
The Google captions underneath.
Oh my
Golden
God.
Mask goes for a thing and grabs the ropes.
The rope. Bandito goes up and over him, stops, comes all the way back. They both jump into the that doesn't happen up here ever. Or it's a finish. That was halfway through.
It's so because when you let the luchadors loose and pull, for anybody who watches anime, this is the equivalent of Rock Lee removing his weights. And that is what that is the equivalent for luchadors in Arena Mexico, where they drop the training weights and they could just go all out.
And I'm always saying that American style wrestling needs to come and learn from luchadors. I think they could learn something, and I think it'd make it more interesting.
And this is probably a podcast for another time. I don't know if it's culture or style or training or what's available or not available or
everything.
and I'm sure Mexico has it where the brutal GCW style, I'm going to hit you with bulbs and cut you with glass and open up your insides. I'm sure that's down there. And I have a feeling it's scarier. There's just a part of me that it might even be worse than what we see appear. But
you look at this also. We go back on our history at this point. The only people that even started to scratch this at any point was when WCW in America was pulling in those wonderful lucha matches in the first hour of like Thunder or anything or Nitro you had, where they weren't really showcasing them, but they didn't care enough so that the wrestlers could go and do that type of stuff. And then it's just been steamrolled. And I think that we're coming out of that slowly, but we're watching, especially in AEW, saying, every luchador that comes up fights Jericho, gets in a feud with John Moxley, and almost loses his mask. That is the steps they have to do before they can actually start to wrestle. And I don't think that there's any respect in that, for that, because the AEW fans don't get the half the stuff that's going on here. So as we're watching this, I've been convinced that I'm watching the wrong company, and I need to watch some more stuff anyways. But it's just crazy to me that we figured this out, or at least started to, and then let the crazy guy from New York just wipe it off the face of the earth up here. It's insane.
I mean, that is very true. Buntador, you want to wrap this up? Any other thoughts you have about this?
I drank the tears of the IWC community again. It was sweet. I loved it. Hey, how about Mascara Dorada box jumping to the second rope, then on top of Bandito, then pulling him. I mean, that's all I gotta say. That's all I'm saying. It was cool that Bandito won.
Which is fair, because I don't think he was going to lose the Ring of Honor championship anyways.
Right. Yeah, it was cool that Bandito won. And his spot afterwards I thought was very heartwarming.
He
I
wants a
know
rematch.
yeah, but the at the beginning, how he said he was able to come and wrestle, wrestle in front of his people, and I feel that on many levels, you know what I mean. So I know that meant a lot for him, and I mean, what better way to do it than with Máscara Dorada, which now, because I know that the AEW team has seen Máscara Dorada wrestle in ROH, wrestle in AEW, but now you've seen Máscara Dorada.
His full potential.
Yeah, so
we've seen Golden Mask, and now we've seen Máscara Dorada.
And now, right.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love it. But
yeah, I have to say real quick before we move on, this is my match of the night in the essence of man on man. Ooh, man on man, excuse me. Mano a mano. And
never excuse yourself for that, Will.
But the previous, yeah, it's fair. But then there's the 8-man. That's my match.
To each their own, honestly.
But this one was amazing, and I love that it went all the way up the ramp, and it was all over the dang place, and it was amazing. So, God Almighty,
you guys might know, not to nerd out. I know we got to move on. Is the apron and the ramp just harder here down in CMLL?
It's the hardest part of the ring, John. I mean,
yeah,
my
but
shirt.
Yeah.
In the States, it's like, oh, it's made of wood, and we hear the ga 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 from the microphone underneath. These collisions sound of death. Like, they don't sound the same.
I can't speak for the ramp, but I believe that the ring is tightened and it's tightened a different way. I mean, just for the simple fact that the ropes need to be super tight. So, when they go off the rings and whatnot, the ropes don't sag, right?
Right.
Yeah, Lo-Fi just said that in the chat. They're legit boxing rings, which those are.
And most in Mexico are.
Yeah. There you go.
I want to bring this fact up back again, but yeah, like Dorada's only 23 and 24, you guys.
Jeez. Oh. No, I'd always heard that the ring aprons in Mexico were like tangentially the same thickness and hardness that the 6-sided ring got in TNA, where it was like just there's no room for error. It's really really tough,
and that's why they tend to roll more.
I just thought they were moving faster.
This was a fun main event, and this was a fun way to cap off the AEW versus CMLL show. By the end of the night, CMLL is declared the winner with a record of 4-2. So the last two matches were the only AEW wins. CMLL's otherwise got the wins. So they walked out as the major victors of this evening. Overall, this show was a lot of fun. I feel like this is a good sample tasting of what you can get, but let me tell you, Viernes Espectacular is where it's at if you want to see true lucha libre, like going hardcore. It's nuts. But we got one more show we got to talk about, so let's get into it. Now we're shifting gears to more of our, even though we're still in a, go ahead.
Before we get into it, if I may, a nuestros pequeños aficionados, la lucha libre no es un juego, es divertida y emocionante, pero no la intentes practicar en casa o en la escuela. Puedes lastimarte o lastimar a los demás. Recuerda que tu seguro es lo más importante.
Oh my gosh.
Move on.
Now I want to do this in schools.
So, shifting gears a little bit, now we come to the more AEW focused show of the week, because this is AEW Grand Slam Mexico. So this is going to be very fun to talk about. So let's just jump straight into it. So again, we are in Arena Mexico still, but we kick things off with this man. He is invited to the Quince from now here on out.
El Buntador doesn't think so.
El Buntador disagrees. Not invited to the Quince.
Wow, how dare you?
No. I'm trying to shake off emotions.
I cried a little bit. I'm not even going front.
No, yeah, well, that's the thing. When Hangman Adam Page actually came, and oftentimes, more often than not, when American wrestlers come down, they do the bare minimum. They might learn like Hola Mexico, right? But then they'll still do like all their spots in English and whatnot. Here, Hangman is not only doing the entire thing in Spanish, the entire opening promo in Spanish, but addressing
what's going on
the big issues that are going on right now, and
right,
and you know, just giving a human angle on it, and it felt raw, it felt true. It hit me. I started crying.
Oh, I was a mess.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome, and I appreciated it so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I appreciated that the AEW staff was just like, yeah, just do it. You know, they weren't like other companies and be like, no, you know, and they let them do it, you know. And I super appreciate Hangman Adam Page, because I know getting in front of 60,000 people and speaking a language that you're like iffy at best. And I mean, he sounded good, but like in front of 60,000 people, like, you know, I just, yeah.
If I may, I did translate this, so I do want to translate this for all of my non-Spanish speakers.
You did a better job than Excalibur trying to interrupt every 5 seconds and then
Excalibur, I love you, but like, no. Anyways, so
he was trying, but he just had to let it ride. It's like, no, stop. I have C+ B- Spanish. I got through, I feel like 85% of. I
have kitchen Spanish, and I picked up context, and I got this.
There you go. Yeah.
Sweet. We love it. So here's the translated promo in English. So I translated
it for pauses every 5 seconds.
Right. So, well, I mean, anyways, moving on. So in English, this is what I translated for Hangman Page. Hello, my name is Hangman, and I want to apologize for my Spanish because it's not the best, but it's a little better than most gringos, so I will try, which was great. When I was young, my family had a tobacco farm, and every summer, about 6 men would come from Ruiz, Nayarit to work, and then he proceeds to say their names, like the Tres Miguels and all that stuff. So the names of the people that worked with his family, and he still remembers them to this day, which gives me bonus points for you, Hangman. Every year I worked with them, and they taught me about Mexico. They were hard workers, honest, and cared for their families. They taught me that we are all better when we work together. This is why I want to say thank you. Thank you for having us in your house tonight. Thanks for this collaboration between AEW and CMLL, because when we work together, we can change the world. And then he gets into the actual promo part. Now I will talk about our champion, Jon Moxley. I'm sorry to say that I don't have a match tonight, and I'm not allowed to be in the arena during his match, but nobody's after the match. So after all that, I will beat his ass. Until then, thank you everyone here in Arena Mexico, and I'll see you soon. Again, Hangman, you get all the points from me. You are invited to the Quince.
You might know, obviously would know. What is the thing that he said that Excalibur was like, oh, I don't think we can translate that. What's the thing that he said?
It probably was the equivalent to the cursing out in Spanish, because he wanted to beat his ass. Now, of course, he said more of the Spanish slang, which we also cannot say on here because we're going to get demonetized and in trouble. But he used the Spanish curse word slangs too.
Got it.
I mean, we would also hear this crowd. I believe it was also during the Grand Slam that we got the culero chants, which was really great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, Agent Lo-Fi. Now, contrast that with other companies opening promos for a lucha show, and I'm just like, fail.
You mean them coming out there and saying, we own you now, so just do what we want?
I mean, you're not wrong. But again, Hangman wins bonus points for me. I was like, ooh, hello, Hangman. No, but in all seriousness, Hangman, you are invited to the Quince. Yeah. Ooh, yes. If you look at the private chat, boys, El Bunto says what he said. So, yeah. Ooh,
damn.
It was crazy.
Damn.
It was crazy.
Damn.
It was great. But Hangman, you win all the points. So let's move on because we got a lot of matches to talk about. And we opened up with this chaotic AF match. So, okay, let me put this in context, right? AEW boys, when we last talked about this match, this was just a 10-man tag team match. And then it evolved into a mother tucking 14-man tag. So let me just introduce all our players here.
Substitutions and moving around and everything else too. Like there was just people not involved.
Which was crazy. So, I mean, for the most part, our face teams remained intact with the addition of some members. So on the face team, we have representing the AEW side of things, we have our TNT champion, Adam Cole, baby, Daniel Garcia, and we're going to talk about you in a little bit, Brody King, because you get all the brownie points from me. And then representing the CMLL side on the Technico/face side is Atlantis Senior, Atlantis Junior, Ring of Honor champion, Bandito, and of course, Will's baby daddy, Templario, who is also one half of the New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions with TJP, and also the newest member of United Empire over in New Japan, which is great. And then on the heel side, we had a substitution because Cash of FTR could not be here. They said travel issues, but I'm wondering if previous legal entanglements probably prevented him from doing anything, but who knows?
I mean, FTR attempted aggravated assault couldn't cross borders? Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny what gun charges will do to your passport.
Being from Florida, who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, so we have one half of FTR in Dax Hardwood, AEW's Burt Reynolds. Substituting for Cash is CMLL's Volador Jr. When we cover Fantastica Mania tomorrow, I have my bone to pick because I'm like, you shaved the mustache, why?
Because Ricochet made him anyway.
I guess. And then we have CMLL's Echiseto. We have Proto Shida, so Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher.
What an unfortunate tag team name. I'm sorry.
I know, but you know what? They gonna make it work. The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, and another addition to the team is Lance Archer. So it's pretty much most of the Don Callis family with Echiseto, Volador Jr., and AEW Burt Reynolds over here.
This graphic, by the way, makes it look like Takeshita has a super tiny arm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like it's sticking up behind Dax's bald head. Bald.
Just hello. Anyway, carry on.
This was
like Josh Alexander is puppeting Volador Jr. Like he's got like his hand up his ass. I don't know what's going on
there.
Well, I mean, you saw that clip I put up earlier.
Yeah. And Volador Jr. looks like he needs an adult.
That's how he felt in this match too. So before I get into my thoughts about this match, that is all I have to say. Look, Brody King
getting national attention.
He made it on MSNBC, which was wild.
This was played on MSNBC. It was played on Fox News. It's made the rounds on Reddit, both the right and left side, going crazy. Folks saying he's not this, he's not that, and then other folks showing up going, "You go say that to his face." All 6'6", 350 pounds. Go ahead.
If you've listened to Brody King's band and like what they talk about and they lyrics for their music, I was like, he been about this life. He ain't like, listen, Brody King, you get invited to the quince, you get invited to the Sunday family dinner, you are invited to the baptism, you are invited to everything. I do not care. Brody King is now in my Hall of Fame of I will protect this man forever and a day.
Please baptize my daughter.
He probably could, and we talked about this. He plays this very like dark, angry character, and then he's just like the biggest sweet teddy bear outside of this, with also a majestic beard. So Brody King, you get it. This was a car crash match, but like in the best way possible. I felt like this was a really good match. Everyone got to shine. I feel like nobody did not get a chance to be like showcased, but this was just pure 7-on-7 chaos, which is wild of how many people were in this match. I mean, the floor is open if anyone wants to talk.
And we talk about this, and I use this analogy a lot. Normally in these action figure matches where it's just every toy in the toy box, sometimes it just gets clunky and it's super hard to follow. This was pretty clean. Everyone had their spot, like you said. Everything had to happen. I could not help but watch and find the matches I want to see later. I want Takeshi to Bandito. Give me that a year from now for something. You know what I mean? Just there were a handful of these that were just, oh my God, just fantastic. Crowd got into it. It's always kind of a roll, at least up here in the States, it's a roll of the dice to start with something like this because of spectacle and whatever, and you hope booking supports this. This could have bogged down the whole show if this is put in the wrong spot. But to kick the night off with this, super brave, and I think they all brought it. I mean, we could talk about this for an hour and a half. We obviously don't have time. I will say Adam Cole looks a lot smaller
compared to everybody else on the opposing team and on his own team.
It might be because everyone's around there, and I'm sure. And I don't mean that as a slight to him at all, but just I hope he's okay in training or whatever. It just looks like he's lost a bit of mass. I'm not sure if that's neither here nor there, but this was a lot of fun.
He is like he's like 5 pounds away from looking like a Stretch Armstrong figurine, not even going
but like, even him next to Kyle Fletcher, like, and Kyle Fletcher's a big dude, but not the largest dude. It's like, oh man, okay.
But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the match was it was a lot of fun. I think what helped it is that kind of as we touched on earlier, you don't, with CMLL, you don't get a lot of that like spillage out into the crowd type thing. Everything's kind of contained in the ring and in the ring area. It felt like a quasi like Atomico, Cybernetico. Yeah, you know, which I thought was definitely cool. I just, as they kept announcing people, I'm like, are they gonna have anyone left for the rest of the show?
For reals. I was like, I forgot there were matches after this. I was like, y'all are opening up with this? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I fully enjoyed the like floundering on commentary that we had for half the stuff there as well, with like dealing with the fact that the crowd does not like Atlantis Jr. at all, because of they think of him like, and learning about the fact that like he's basically a nepo baby who has gotten everything given to him, and while he's a good wrestler, the crowd doesn't feel that he's earned anything being on the team of good guys, and then Daniel Garcia getting booed for dancing. Like, it was just so it was like watching the Raw after Mania, where you're like, yes, this is what it needs to be, where everyone's insane and we love you all.
That's the question I had for Mikey. I wrote a note about that, and I even texted him about it. Why the hate for Atlantis Jr.? Is it just a nepo thing, or just shouldn't be there? Or?
I think it's more so of who else is in this match too, because Agent Lo-Fi brought this up when we were covering the Tuesday show, that because of who's in the ring, like there was a lot of Smart Mark fans for here. Now, granted, the Arena Mexico was packed out with the people who are down there, but of course you have like your Smart Mark wrestling fans in here too. But yeah, and Agent Lo-Fi bringing a little bit of history that this thing goes all the way back to Atlantis Senior too. So
Sons of the Father.
Yeah, so it took Atlantis Senior, from my knowledge, it took him a little bit to kind of dissuade that, but because of the family lineage, and remember, CMLL has been around for 91 years at this point, so you are talking about generations of craziness being added to all of that. And to bring in Agent Lo-Fi again, they don't think he deserved all the masks he won, despite being on the most loyal CMLL guys when a lot of big talent were dipping. So, ooh. But again,
and also everyone loves Hechicero.
That's also very true. Hechicero and Volador are very over in CMLL, regardless of Técnico Rudo Ro. They are mostly Rudos, but everybody loves them.
Yeah. Do I need to play that video again?
No.
No, we're good. Okay.
I mean, later, because we still got a lot of matches to get through. Will, any final thoughts about this before we move on to our next match?
Templario. That's all.
Okay. Good observation. So, again, we're going to immortalize this somehow. Okay, so this was the only non-CMLL match that we got, but you know what? Okada fits well in Arena Mexico. I'm not even going to lie. So this was like the truly only real AEW match we got here. This is Mark Briscoe all in his gap teeth missing in this picture. Love it. I love that this is what we're going with all the time. Mark Briscoe versus Kazuchika Okada, our current AEW Continental Champion, the Rainmaker of New Japan, if you will. I was very surprised at how much I liked this match, because on paper I was like, man, this is going to be okay. But you know what? I loved it. It was great. I also loved the little bit of comedy we got too, because Mark Briscoe is missing teeth. He had to readjust where he bit Okada's fingers to make it in full effect. I'm like, Mark Briscoe, never change. We love you. And Okada doing the Okada things. This was great. So Agent Lo-Fi coming in with the facts. This was technically his first single match in CMLL. He only worked trios when he was previously around, which is very true. So this is his true first one-on-one match in CMLL, and this was fun. I mean, the floor is open to anybody. I enjoyed myself. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, I think that hits the nail on the head. Is that it was fun, you know. It moves the Kazuchika Okada story with Don Callis ahead.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, this was an AEW match. It wasn't a CMLL match. Not that it was a bad match, but yeah, the crowd was kind of like,
yeah,
okay, you know.
Me too.
So,
me too.
And you can feel it though. There's this sort of bump set spike with this American state style wrestling that they were doing that it's just not in CMLL at all.
Yeah.
There's this hesitation, boom, and then we're gonna sit in it, and then bam, we're gonna wait for the next thing, and then just this
This match threw me off.
Yeah, it's just so different.
I just feel like the crowd itself was like, "Are you playing down to us? Do you need to like really like walk us through each set you're doing?" Like, because honestly, there you go. It's just, I mean, it's very strong, very much the style of the time. But I will say on the other side of it, this is the first time I've seen Okada work a style that wasn't like step, you know, big move, step, big move. Like he actually started to show flashes of what made him great in NJPW.
The Rainmaker.
So I'd love to see if that can do something different. But yeah.
So fun match, but yeah, different type of pacing. And this was truly the only real AEW match, because this was the only like non-CMLL, you know, crossover match, and it was fun.
And I think we see this in this match and the next one, which you're going to, so this ties in.
Yeah.
There was a style of hold for camera, hold for this, hold for TV. It was a TV style match, if that makes sense. And I think Bunta and Will might be able to speak to that too. There's just this sense of, boom, this happened, this hit. Now I got to hold for the camera to be on me so I can smile.
I mean, that was more prevalent.
My head.
This is that was very prevalent in this match. So we're going to talk about MJF versus, you know, the poster boy, the golden boy, the, you know, like Místico is the CMLL like head honcho representative when we send people all over the place. I will say though, that entrance music, me muero. I will say it was good, but it did take me a little bit to get used to. I'm like, this is not usually Místico's entrance, but I'm here for it. I'm not gonna lie.
But that,
it was good. So,
rabble.
I'll just say also for both these matches, to go back off of the professor's point, it's a little overplayed that they are like looking for that camera shot. They've been told that for years, but there will be no one that will be as good at that other than Psycho Mike. So they really should just stop.
I was gonna say Psycho Mike looking at the hard cam.
Yes. So I mean, the reason I was grumbling about that is there was the story of Místico is long, treacherous, and convoluted. So, you know, not only was he given permission to have that song, which I think was his original intro song, but he also got permission to wear his original mask as well when he came in. That was the blue ensemble that he had. So you know, it was definitely hitting. That was there you go. So that was hitting. That really hit like the nostalgia.
It was
for the
number
people there.
one hit in Mexico.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
Mexican pop culture and lucha libre, you'd be very surprised of how much they tie into each other all the time. We literally had an
Joe Hendry didn't crack the billboard. Like, that was #1 in Mexico. Damn.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I will say this though too. Lucha libre is like, they are the celebrities in Mexico too. Henceforth, if you continue to watch CMLL boys, AEW boys, they literally have airline commercials with lucha libre. It's crazy.
Yeah. I liked the match. I liked the match. And you know, MJF is being MJF. I was bummed that it slowed Mystico down because I feel like yet again the restraining bolts were shackled onto Mystico. You know, and he wasn't really given to really show why he's so beloved in CMLL. You know, yeah. So that was a little frustrating, but
and this is something that drives me a little crazy too. Is all of a sudden you get these flashes of what Mystico is, and then he's got to stop, or he pause. You know, goes to do the dive, sees last second MJF is gone, hits the ropes, flips right back, and stands there, and you go, "Oh my God, that's a superhero landing! How did you do that?" But then 30 seconds go by, 40 seconds go by. Like the pace just drops. And it's just so much more obvious watching everything that's come up to this point.
Every pause is a pregnant pause down here, and they're too darn long.
I just noticed you changed your background. What the heck?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's the master of the hard cam, Psycho Mike.
Yeah, loves
and you know, I felt like, and I don't know if this was, man, I don't know. But MJF had this issue the first time he was in CMLL facing Templario as well.
When he was United States champion, or US champion.
US champion. Because it just felt like, you know, I was so excited because, you know, Templario, he's big and he moves, and, you know, I can't wait to see this against MJF. And it just like, it felt like, you know, in the back, they're like, oh, hey, mira, don't look better than the gringo, okay? So just, you know, and it almost hurt. It almost hurt. Again, wrestling match, it was fine. It was great. It told a story. MJF drew that cheap heat. I
literally was playing colonizer in this match. Like, let's not even kid ourselves.
On my little island here, which is the island of El Punto del Segundo, not the island of Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican, that hack.
Y'all need to stop bickering, man.
I would love to see Mystico challenge MJF to a Máscara contra hair match, and MJF lose the match.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
there has to be some sort of comeuppance, especially fast forwarding to what happened after the match, because Mystico wins by DQ essentially, and
rarely ever happens anywhere, and that's only with MJF can win apparently,
which was kind of crazy. And you know, MJF proceeds to take Mystico's mask, which then prompts, you know, Jet Speed to come out for the save. So the Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, who we would see, at least we would see Kevin later in the week. But yeah, I'm just like, I agree. I think we're running this back at some point down the line. I would not be surprised if we get this later in the summer, later in
Forbidden
the fall.
Door, maybe.
Well, it depends on if Mystico can travel, because Forbidden Door, I mean, there might be less restrictions because Forbidden Door is going to be at the O2 in the UK. So I feel like it would be easier, but who knows at this point.
Is he not allowed to leave the country either?
Well, it depends. I feel like Mystico can.
No, he's allowed to leave. Yeah, no.
But what I'm saying for Forbidden Door, I don't think we're going to see a lot of CMLL guys outside of the ones that we see in the AEW, and then for some of us that also pop into New Japan and MLW as well too. So I can definitely see Místico, maybe a Templario. I could see a Titan. But again, I feel like this was more to progress what's happening with MJF's character in AEW. But I also think we are going to get a rematch down the line, whether it be in Arena Mexico or at AEW in some capacity. Everybody. So yeah, I was like, this at this point of the night, I was like, okay, I thought this was fun, but at this point, I was like, this is probably not my favorite match, but I still thought it was pretty fun. Surprisingly, I took Okada and Briscoe over this one because I was like, I hate disqualifications. Professor, you know this. We talk about this all the time in WWE. I'm like, I hate these DQ finishes, but you know what?
Particularly that promotion. There's a DQ epidemic going around the last 2-3 months. Like,
roll my eyes.
It's a cheap way to get out of committing.
Have you watched that thing in like the last 15 years? There's been very few regular finishes anywhere.
We know, but anyways. So Jet Speed comes out for the save. It chases off MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. So this was great. This next match. We could quickly talk about this one. This is what we expected: 4 million pesos, which is the equivalent of like $250,000. This had Máscara Dorada, Ricochet, Hologram, and Leo Rush. I mean, it's what I expected from these types of matches we get in AEW. Everybody just throwing bodies everywhere.
But you had 4 guys that could actually work the style. Like, that's the whole point of this, was like, you wanted to pick your 3, but ostensibly pretty much 2 AEW guys, and then your 2 luchadors. This was perfect.
Yeah. As AJ Lo-Fi said, proper lucha cluster F.
Yeah.
Leo Rush rubbing his Ricochet's bald head made me laugh so hard.
Yep. I felt, especially after the MJF match and the Okada match, this really, the pace picked up again for this match, which was nice. I liked it.
I did. This was fun. I mean, Hologram wins, so he is Hologram. If y'all want to send me some money, not even gonna lie, bro, like, send me some money. So, all right, this was fun, but I feel this is where we're gonna have some talking points. So, in our semi-main event for the CMLL World Women's Championship, we have our CMLL Women's Champ Zuxis taking on AEW's Mercedes Moné. Mercedes 5 belts because she got belts from other international promotions as well. I'm going to say my thoughts because I had this conversation with Adolfo, the one that El Buntador needs to lay off of. No, I'm just kidding. And I feel like we're going to disagree. I feel like at least the AEW boys, we might disagree on a couple of things. I want to rip the Band-Aid off, and then we can talk about the match itself before we get into everything that happened after the match. But JBL got it correct. He was the only one that said that Mercedes was going to win this. I had other hopes. Obviously, it did not happen. I will say, though, I did get a chuckle out of every time that Zuxis delivered those power bombs. Pieces of Mercedes ring gear went flying everywhere. I was like, oh God, it's disintegrating because of the power. So before I come to you, I'm going to go to Papa Oso himself because I feel like this is going to be fun to watch. Just, for the content. Papa Oso, we know you outside of Persephone, Zuxis is your other powerhouse girl. We love her. You love her. She unfortunately lost the women's championship here to Mercedes. You have the floor. Talk about the match. Talk about your feelings. Like, go for it.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to have anything controversial, so to speak. I mean, I thought it was a really good match. I'm not 100% familiar with Mercedes. I know her. I've seen her work, but I'm not really like, I couldn't teach a master's class on her. But I thought she was really good. I think she is very good, actually. I think she's very charismatic, she fills the space. I liked her. Now, Zuxis she's my girl, my second girl, because her and Persephone, my God, you know, even though they're completely two different styles, sort of like, you know, because Zooxies is like powerhouse. She's like, I'm just going to drop a house on you know, and Persephone is more of the sort of punch you in the face and kick you in the crotch type of person. But I was a little upset because first of all, I was like, I didn't understand why this happened. I mean,
I mean, you know,
to say I was upset is an understatement. I was flipping mad. I was so angry because
so
and I agree with Agent Lo-Fi. And this is nothing against Mercedes because I think she was amazing. I just like why. I want to know why. Why? What's the purpose?
Right.
What was the purpose?
Yeah, and to be fair, Agent Lo-Fi has informed us that the CMLL Women's Championship has been held by more foreigners than CMLL Amazonas, so it could disappear for a year and it gets defended all over the world, which is fun and everything. But also, it is a big money maker because CMLL is happy as hell to have somebody like Monet carry that belt around. And to be fair, you didn't have to wait long for her to defend it. But yeah, Mercedes' belt collecting is kind of getting out of control. I'm not even going front.
This is why I was like, I don't understand. Was it just a stunt? Is it just a stunt? Because it kind of felt like a stunt.
That's what we were debating last week on AEW, and Mikey and I were like, "There's no way they're going to do that because of here are the reasons." And JVL was like, "Well, yeah, but here's why they would." And we were hoping JVL was wrong.
I know. Darn it, JVL, the one time you were right. But JVL, I want to tag you in too because you are Mercedes' number one op on this platform. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I will give my thoughts about this with JVL. I want to hear your thoughts because you did predict your Nostradamus came correct.
I don't hate Mercedes as a wrestler. I don't hate her as a person. And honestly, again, it's always fun to see her come down to CMLL, go to NGPW, to Stardom, to everywhere else. She wrestles better when she's not in the States.
True.
Even here, this was better. Like, I have no problem with her except for her horrible finisher, but that's beside the point.
Oh, man, she needs to get a new finisher. I hate that. I still hate it.
The thing about the belt collecting, and I understand from Agent Lo-Fi, like, I understand, like, it's fine for this to go where it goes. This is becoming... If it had gone to another foreigner that takes it out there and actually wants to defend it more than she's going to, then I could see that being a good thing. Mercedes is stuck in this vortex of just sucking all these belts in, and not in that Ultimo Dragon way, not in the Kenny Omega way, where like they still will make time to defend a lot of these. It's just becoming a prop on AEW to say, look at how cool she is. Well, you should pay attention to our women's division more because she's got all these titles that she won on other programs everywhere else. We're not going to feature her or the women more than anything else, but she's definitely a champion. And the reason this drives me extremely nuts is this tips the hand for what they're going to do at the next pay-per-view. Because they're going to take the belt off Toni Storm to put it on her, which then it becomes this amalgamation of everything. And while it's great to see a belt collector go down and have that arc of falling down, when are they going to do it? At this point, she'll have every belt in every company that she can wrestle in and both belts in AEW.
Please,
what point is there in your women's division then?
I really don't want to see Toni lose this at All in Texas, but we'll see.
She's going to. I'm calling it out. I'm putting it out. That's my pick for the. I don't want it to be, but that's my pick.
No, we don't want that. Anywho,
but glad to see Mercedes wrestle a match. It was really fun to see her wrestle a match.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt again.
Do it.
And I know, not interrupt, but I'm going to interject. I know, Agent Lo-Fi was saying, if the belt could disappear, nobody in CML would even notice or whatever. But isn't that a problem? I mean, shouldn't you make the belt more important than that? Shouldn't you make that title more important than, if it just went away, no one would care? And I get it. I totally get that. I'm just one of those people. It's like, why have it? If it's not important, then get rid of the damn thing.
You mean like the
don't
TBS
even have
championship that she has right now that she hasn't defended in a year?
That's very true. Yeah, mass and hair are king, baby. Over
Yeah,
in CMLL.
absolutely. I get that. That's why my argument is, why have the belt if you don't give a shit about it? I mean, literally, and this goes not just for CMLL. This goes for other programs as well, because I know we have some belts in American wrestling that nobody gives a crap about. And I just think, why do you have it? Just get rid of it. If it's not about the belts, then it's just about the experience. Then let's focus on that. Just get rid of all the damn belts. And let's just have some fun watching wrestling.
That's
because
a Marxist wrestling thing there. I don't know if we can go into that right now.
I'm just, it's just one of those, I don't know. It's one of those ideas that belts, in American wrestling, belts are super important. They are super important,
Right.
and I just, if it's not important, then why have it?
I think,
why make a big deal out of it?
And I'm glad that you say all that, because we absolutely agree. And up at AEW, something we gripe on about is Tony Khan doesn't know how to book women and has messed up the women's division for years. If I'm timing this out right, based on the feed I'm looking at, doing the math, they got 7 minutes and 2 commercial breaks for this.
They got more during Summer Blockbuster than they got here.
That's for a title match and 7 minutes intros to ending. That's awful booking. And there's no time to get anything going in here for that. Mercedes has been off and on since she got up here, and we've talked about that a lot over on the AEW side. Some weeks she's on it, some weeks we're like, where are you going? What are you doing? She's been trying to find her way. Zuxis took a header off that dive.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes totally missed her. And I mean, outside of that, everything was safe and clean, and they looked like they worked really well together. But that was scary. That took me out of it. Like, oh my God, that mask saved her face. And Audrey jumps out of the ring, goes straight to her, like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? So little things like that kind of took me out of this. It's a shame because I don't know Zuxis very well. She looked awesome though.
She's awesome.
Crazy powerhouse. Similar to Persephone, what we talked about. Will and I have a type. I was like, I can't stop watching you. Who are you?
Can I join you on that?
You're awesome. I do agree with JBL. I think it tips the hand a little bit of where we might be going with Mercedes Moné as some sort of Megatron of all the belts creature thing. God. Come fight me, whatever that is.
She's about to have her own Power Ranger Zord with all those belts.
Exactly, just all the titles come to her at once. I think it's unfortunate.
It's not Ultimo Dragon; it's Ultimo Dragon.
There you go.
Ooh. Damn. On that note,
I that's tough, and I don't know. I have a problem with. Oh, this is a rabbit hole with belts in a lot of different sports, boxing, MMA, and other things included. It seems to matter until it doesn't, and it's prestigious until it isn't because we chose.
Yeah. I have a lot of words about belts,
and I hate not to invoke other promotions or go down that rabbit hole, but it matters, then it doesn't, then it does, then it doesn't, and it's silly.
And cherry pick when it's important, yeah.
It's harder to tell a story if that tradition is gone, and I've talked too much. Please give it to Buntador. Buntador, go!
I am average Amazon matches in CMLL. As you saw the previous night, they average 15 minutes. Average, right? So a 7-minute Amazonas match, women's match, is just abysmal, I get it. And the points that Agent Lo-Fi put out are valid. I'm frustrated with this match because we've seen Zuxis really cook, and it just kind of felt like she got in there and it was just like she was like right off the get-go, she was just trying to hit finisher like that, just to try to get it done fast. And you really didn't get to see how, the Puerto Rican power, as she's called, yeah, there were those cool moments where she would just powerbomb the crap out of Mercedes, and Mercedes costuming just went flying all over the place. But you really didn't get to see Zoxys and how well she does wrestle, and how she mixes her ring acumen with her power. So that was frustrating. The match was all right. I felt it just set up the meme that we got afterwards.
Well, let's just jump into it. So my closing thoughts on all of this. I'm coming around to Mercedes. Again, I agree with JVL that she does better when she's not wrestling in the States, because against, when she's in New Japan and in Mexico and, the UK, like, she does great. And I'm, and I don't hate her either. And I'm coming around to her, but I'm just like, again, we're eventually going to get the downfall where Mercedes starts losing these championships left and right, and then she has no belts. But the question is, when are we going to get to that part of the story? I don't want her to take the title off of Tony at all in Texas, but who knows? So speaking of which,
I thought we were starting with the downfall of Mercedes at not Dominion. At the other one, when she lost her NJPW belt.
She lost the title to Azumi, who's in Stardom holding that thing. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so we might start. I'm gonna withhold judgment because in a couple of weeks, Mercedes is heading back to the UK, like right before All in Texas. She'll be at the Rev Pro Summer Sizzler event. So she's scheduled to have a match. So who knows if she's going to walk out of the UK still as champ, but who knows? So I'm going to withhold things. But speaking of Timeless Tony Storm, I do agree. I would love to see Mercedes Moné and Olympia at some point. That would actually be a really fun match. Not going to lie. But speaking of Timeless Tony Storm, Mercedes wins. She celebrates in the ring. Where in the world is Timeless Tony Storm, Carmen Sandiego? Because this promo was amazing. Now, her Collision promo was fire. If y'all haven't seen the promo from this past Collision, that was the only bright spot, because I have a bone to pick with Collision, because we literally had... I was like, you took one step forward with that promo, and then you made Chris Statlander look really small and afraid of men, which should not have been the case. But we'll talk about that off air. This vignette was amazing. Yes, Agent Lo-Fi. Timeless Tony Storm, no stranger to Arena Mexico, because she was over here previously too. It was fantastic. She does this promo because Mercedes has always been getting the one up on her on AEW television, attacking her. So we get into Arena Mexico. The lights point at, the entrance ramp, and who should it be? But everybody wants Mina. Mina Shirakawa pops up, who has aligned herself with Timeless Tony Storm. And this is my favorite meme. This is the meme that is going to forever live. So Timeless Tony Storm pops up behind Mercedes. She's wearing this fabulous red coat. Love it. Mercedes tries to run. Tony German suplexes her with all the belts still on her, which was fantastic. And these two end up fighting. And Timeless Tony Storm gets on the mic and basically says, is that you want to fight? Well, you got a war. So I'm just like, I love
to see that Timeless Tony Storm's thighs can lift that many poundage.
Timeless Tony Storm, you bisexual icon. We love you. Juice Robinson, you are a very lucky man. We are jelly. I'm still looking forward to the All in Texas match, but the pending dread is just going to keep eating at me until the inevitability probably happens, but I'm going to remain hopeful until we get there. Yes, it did get a chuckle out of me too. So let's get into our final match, which ended up main eventing. We also had some substitutions in here. So whether it was travel issues or just because we couldn't, Claudio Castagnoli could not participate and be here. So he was substituted in with Beast Mortos, attorney at RAR. So this 10-man tag, we had the Death Riders, which is Beast Mortos, John Moxley, and Wheeler. Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you, Wheeler Yuta. You cannot tell me with this haircut. And they are teaming up with the Young Bucks of Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. And then they are taking on the team of the Ops, Professor's favorite team name, all of AEW. So the Ops, which is our AEW Trios champions of Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata. And then they are teaming up with, Will Ospreay, who we all are very familiar with through various companies. And then whose house? Swerve's house, Swerve Strickland. I gotta say, I had fun with this match. I was kind of let down by how we ended up getting here. I was just like, y'all, there's something wrong if I will take Briscoe and Okada's match over this one. I was kind of let down by this one. I wasn't expecting what we're used to in CMLL because these are all AEW folks. And it was fun to watch Beast Mortos come back to CMLL.
I did just want to point that out that Tony Khan did go to the head of CMLL and asked for special permission for Beast Mortos to come back. So that was definitely a special thing to see.
Lo-Fi giving us the backstory too.
Yeah,
he got a start in CMLL as Semetan, lasted 4 years before going to AAA, which was a big no-no, and AAA and CMLL got beef like that. And then he became Machine Rocker, and then he became the Black Taurus, which Will and I are familiar with in TNA before coming over to AEW, and now he is Beast Mortos. So it was really cool to see him here in Arena Mexico. With that being said, I was a little underwhelmed with this match, not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I love the pop Will Ospreay got.
Oh, Ospreay is great wherever he goes. He's gonna get that pop, and
Swerve
too.
Yep, and I did get that Will Ospreay in Arena Mexico moment that I wanted. He wasn't fighting a luchador, which made me sad. Could you imagine him in Máscara Dorada?
Gosh, him versus anybody.
Hopefully that happens someday. I think the 14-man at the top had the energy and the let's go that this one obviously didn't have. This was for the States, right?
Yeah.
This was, let's start every square off with forearms. Bam, 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 bam.
Because you're John Moxley, and that's all you do.
Yeah, let's do that for 45 seconds. Let's all take a turn beating on Wheeler Yuta for about 90 seconds each.
Wheeler, man.
And then move into the next spot, right? Like, it got a little calculated. It drove me a little crazy. I love seeing Mortos and Samoa Joe going heads up. Give me that someday. That was like, put that out there.
I love hearing that Joe never thought he'd get down to Arena Mexico at all.
Which is crazy in my mind.
That's wild. I actually think Ospreay worked really well with the Young Bucks. They had a spot in the middle here, and that's kind of weird for me to say out loud. They did some really cool things I hadn't quite seen before. I'm biased. I love Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't think he got to show out enough here.
No. And neither Shibata either. Like this is kind of where that action figure analogy goes on higher. There's too much here, and because we know Hangman's going to come out. We know the ending, and this kind of got truncated somewhere. I don't know. I too much room to breathe. Just kind of a plateau heading to the end. I don't know. What does anyone have?
Really quick to answer Kiltman's question, I cannot recall.
I don't think there was no walkaway spot
getting the walkaway,
which was sad. I wanted a walkaway.
Yeah, I was looking for it. I was like, come on, give us the walkaway. But yeah, he didn't get it, which bummed me out.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
This was the let's showcase our stories we have going on here. We're not going to do anything with them. And here's Beast Mortos just because we could get him in here and he's amazing. Have fun. Also, we're going to slow it down. So have fun with that one too to end the night on a slow.
Which kind of sucked because, so here's the thing. I'm going to be so for real. I know we have Death Riders here to, because Hangman and Mox are probably going to main event all in Texas. I'm going to be so for real. I don't want to take away anything from the Ops and the Death Riders and Mortos, right? I'm going to be honest. I think we could have taken those 6 out, which breaks my little heart because I love all of them, And I actually would have rather seen a simple tag team match between the Bucks and then Ospreay and Swerve. Like, just have those four go at it.
Yeah.
Especially because we know those four will go flying everywhere too. We have seen Swerve go ham, Ospreay goes ham, the Bucks fly everywhere, as we know too. Like, I feel like a standard tag team match, or even if you wanted to have a simple trios, Mox can be with the Bucks. And then, I don't know, you could pick somebody else. Like, bring Hobbs. Like, Hobbs, Swerve, and Ospreay would be kind of killer. Not even gonna lie.
Shibata got the pop. Shibata went in.
Yeah.
They knew who he was. They were all over it.
You put that trio of Ospreay, Swerve, and Shibata together, dear God.
That would be menaces. I would love that. Again, I thought this was standard. It got through the story because especially what happened after the match, it was all said and done. I mean, Death Riders, Mortos, and Young Bucks do win. I do want to get some words from Papa Oso here, as this was a true AEW only match with the sprinkle of the Mortos in here. So I want his thoughts from that perspective before we go into what happened after the match.
Can I just say, and I'm sorry, I was underwhelmed by this match. Is that a consensus across the board, I guess? I don't know. I don't know many of these folks. I mean, I know like Samoa Joe, and I know Will Ospreay, and I know a couple of the others, but I don't know them. So, but I felt a little underwhelmed. Like, I was expecting more.
They were all hamstrung by the match. Had they been in their own match by themselves, I think you would have had more fun.
Right.
That's what I could see that. I guess, because I've seen Will Ospreay do his thing, and he's freaking amazing. And I would love to see him take on. I'd love to see him come down to Mexico and just do a run.
Please do.
Because we've seen Ospreay hologram, we've seen Ospreay Bandito, we've seen
Ospreay
Commander. They've done some wild stuff with Ospreay. He would have been great in that style.
So I mean, I'd love to see more. And like I said, I liked a lot of them individually, but I really didn't. I don't know. I was really kind of like, oh, okay. Like, I would not say, hey, if you want to get involved, if you really want to get into AEW, don't watch this match.
Don't watch this. I'm gonna be for real. I'll be like, watch Briscoe and Okada. Not even going front. Like, I would take that. If I were to take matches from Grand Slam Mexico that were just like strictly AEW, I would be like, watch Briscoe and Okada, because that was fun. But so
that was me. I mean, I felt a little underwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I mean, Mox, the Death Riders, the Death Riders, Mortos, and Bucks pick up the victory here. Moxley rolling up Swerve with a handful of tights, as we all come to know and love. Not really. And then we get a fight. We get a brawl. Hangman Page comes out. He goes to buckshot lariat Mox. Mox gets out the way, and I believe what was it? It was Matthew. Matthew was the one that got the buckshot, right? Or was it Nicholas? I think it was Matthew. It was Matthew. Okay. So Matt Jackson gets the buckshot. Nicholas is like, what the heck, man? Hangman Page was like, you got in my way. That's what happens. I told you we were done. Like, we're over. Finito. Bye-bye. Go away. Mox tried to come in, but he wasn't able to take out Hangman because everybody else was still there. The good guys, technically, as the show goes off the air with their hands held up in the air as the show goes off. Dare I say, I think the actual CMLL and AEW crossover matches we got in Grand Slam Mexico definitely hit where they needed to. But, the strictly AEW matches were kind of the low points for me of the show. But I will say, overall, I was vibing the show. This was a lot of fun. And I agree with Agent Lo-Fi. I feel like some of these AEW folks need to come back for another visit.
Can I hot take something real quick?
Sure.
The true AEW matches, would you say that had they been anywhere else other than Arena Mexico, like if they were in the States, that they would have been actually good matches, but because they were in Arena Mexico and after everything that we've saw, it's just kind of like, wow, you're giving me Taco Bell wrestling now.
I think we would still be nitpicking them for sure. They just wouldn't contrast or stand out the way they did.
Okay.
I also think it depends on
that 10-man. We still would have talked about. We still would have had a few question marks. It wasn't trash. it was just a little, what are we doing? That 14 man, like, oh my God.
We're spinning our wheels. I also think it would depend if we were to get this Grand Slam with Lucha Libre of CMLL stars coming over. I think it would also depend on the city, because as we have seen covered in both CMLL and MLW and some other places too, it depends on the city. So we know that Lucha Libre will go over in Chicago because, of course, Chicago's a wrestling crowd. We also saw that Los Angeles would be a very hotbed of Lucha Libre action too, and that goes over in Los Angeles, California as well.
What was it? Savannah and Memphis are like the two wrestling cities that are just garbage.
Who hurt them?
Georgia can never have another event ever because they were bad. Georgia,
what'd you say? Which one?
So
Georgia.
Which one?
Atlanta, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, all the Georgias.
All the Georgias?
I'm still bitter about that, but yeah. Agent Lo-Fi, and that will be tomorrow's review. Fantastica Mania was the I agree was the happy medium between the two, which the CMLL
had the better Mercedes Moné match.
It did.
I agree, 100% agree.
God, it did.
Her versus La Catalina was fantastic.
Yeah,
and I was full circle moment. We first started with Fantastica Mania Mexico with La Catalina fighting Stephanie Vaquer for that championship, and then to round out a year later, La Catalina once again fighting for the title, but against Mercedes Moné. There's a picture on the CMLL, like Insta, Facebook, Twitter, where they do the promo shot of the belt with all the people, and she's just staring daggers at Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm only an hour in, and it's far more interesting than Grand Slam.
Oh, man. Please watch the rest of it, because it just goes there. It was so good. But that's all we got here for this week's All Elite Ensemble. This was a little bit of a long review. I do want to preview, since technically it's the AEW one, because we do have one match announced for Dynamite. So this is mostly for the AEW boys. My boy is back. Kota Ibushi is back, y'all. This is Kenny Omega's tag team partner. Of course, the Golden Lovers are reunited once again in the most bisexual tag team in New Japan history, which we love. And the reason they were called the Golden Lovers, for everybody who does not know, there are rumors that these two were actually lovers at one point. We love it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. There's the rumor that Kenny and Kota were a thing, because both of them are bicons. They're bisexual. We love them.
Okay.
Please don't kill yourself, Kota. Please don't die.
No, we need. Listen, the last time and I can't believe somebody on the internet pointed it out to me. This is Kota's first one-on-one in AEW, because all the other times he's been here has been in the multi-man matches, Blood and Guts. And that Yakuza-inspired street fight was the last one we saw him in. So that was fun. But yeah, so gentlemen, this was a really fun crossover review. I really enjoyed this. I mean, we don't get to work all that often together, but I know it's late, so we're going to wrap this thing up really quickly, because I do need to go over what the remainder of the week has in store for us. I will say this, it's not for a while, but if you enjoyed this crossover, CMLL is not done, because in October, it is going to be Los Lobos De Lucha and the Progressive team, so our UK wrestling squad, because CMLL also announced we are getting a Fantastica Mania UK edition in October. The CMLL and Rev Pro. I'm so excited. I hope we get to see the likes of like Michael Oku and all the other British talent that is part of Rev Pro. So that's going to be held in October. Cannot wait. But as far as the remainder of this week, tomorrow evening, we got two reviews. We got the NXT review at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern is the Fantastica Mania review. So we got 9 matches to talk about that one. The Los Lobos de la Lucha boys will be here, and possibly the professor might be popping in depending on schedule. So we'll see what happens. Then on Thursday, even though El Apuntador and Adolfo have a hate crime beef happening all the time right now, Adolfo and I will be doing the MLW Summer of the Beasts review, where we are getting Los Depredadores, so CMLL talent. They are the MLW Tag Team Champs, defending their titles against the Mystery Team. Ultimo Guerrero defending his MLW Open Featherweight Championship. And then we're also getting the MLW debut of Miss Shotzi Blackheart, which makes me super excited. We love Shotzi in this household. Then on Friday is the Takedown Troop review for TNA, as we are on the road to the Slammiversary in July. So we will be reviewing that, all 4 of us there. And then we are wrapping things up with our WWE review post Night of Champions and just Raw and SmackDown being a thing this week. Okay. So we got to get up on out of here. So thank you so much for tuning in. I would also like to thank the AEW crew and the CMLL crew for sticking with me this long and being a part of this collaboration. I'm going to be so for real. There was that thought in the back of my mind that this was not going to happen. I thought we were going to miss one person at least, but I'm happy everybody was here for this one. And I look forward to more collaborations in the future. But from us here at Los Lobos De Lucha and the All Elite Ensemble review, and of course from all the rest of the VC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We got a plethora of reviews happening later this week, so we will see you all then. But until then, sayonara, adios. Make sure to take the time to love yourself, take care of your neighbors and your friends in these trying times. And until the next review, we will see you later. But until then, we outie 500. Peace.